The soft glow of candlelight bathed Madame Simone's parlor in a warm, flickering light, casting long shadows on the richly adorned walls. The air was thick with the scent of incense, mingling with the faint aroma of freshly brewed tea. Madame Simone, a regal figure with raven hair and piercing amber eyes, moved gracefully around a small, intricately carved wooden table. She poured tea into delicate porcelain cups, her movements precise and elegant. Ms. Abby, a young woman with a haunted expression, sat nervously across from her. Her hands trembled slightly as she accepted the steaming cup from Madame Simone, who gave her a reassuring smile. "Thank you, Madame," Ms. Abby murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Of course, my dear," Madame Simone replied, her tones soothing. She settled into the plush armchair opposite Ms. Abby, her gaze unwavering. "Take your time. This is a safe place for your story." Ms. Abby took a deep breath, her eyes darting to the shadows that seemed to waver with an unseen presence. She sipped her tea, finding a moment of calm in the warmth that spread through her hands and down her throat. "It happened in the Blackwood Forest," Ms. Abby began, her voice steadying. "My friends and I were drawn to a gypsy party, lured by tales of music and mystery. But the forest held secrets we were not prepared for. Secrets of the Fae." Madame Simone leaned forward, her interest piqued. "The Fae, you say? They are ancient beings, both beautiful and deadly. Please, continue." Miss Abby's eyes reflected the flickering flames as she recounted the harrowing events. "We thought it was just a legend, a story to scare children. But we were wrong. They were real, and they were waiting for us." The room seemed to grow colder as she spoke, the very air heavy with the weight of her tale. Madame Simone listened intently, her fingers lightly tracing the rim of her teacup. She knew the power of stories, how they could bind and release, heal and haunt. As Miss Abby's story unfolded, the shadows in the room seemed to listen as well, drawn to the chilling recount of the Fae's malevolent presence. Madame Simone's eyes never left Miss Abby's face, her expression a mixture of empathy and fascination. "And now, you must share every detail," Madame Simone said softly, her voice a gentle command. "For in the telling we might find a way to break their hold." Miss Abby nodded, her resolve strengthening. She knew that in Madame Simone's parlor, her story would not only be heard, but understood, every word a step toward unraveling the mystery and terror of the Fae. Deep in the heart of the ancient Blackwood Forest, whispers of an otherworldly presence lingered. The locals spoke in hushed tones of the Fae, elusive beings said to guard the woods and its secrets. 5 adventurous friends, Daniel, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and Rachel, were drawn to these tales. They decided to hike through the forest to attend a rumored gypsy party, known for its mesmerizing music and enchanting atmosphere. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the dense trees, the group set out on their journey. The path was narrow and winding, the air growing colder with each step. The forest seemed alive, its silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. After hours of trekking, they finally heard the faint strains of music drifting through the trees. The party was in full swing, a kaleidoscope of colors and laughter. Gypsy dancers twirled around a roaring bonfire, their skirts billowing like flames. The friends joined in, captivated by the intoxicating atmosphere. Unbeknownst to them, the Fae had been watching. Drawn by the merriment, these otherworldly beings moved silently through the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. They had no love for humans, especially those who trespassed into their domain. As the night wore on, the friends began to notice strange occurrences. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she danced as if unseen eyes were upon her. Emily swore she saw glowing figures flitting between the trees. Rachel, always the skeptic, laughed it off, attributing it to the eerie ambiance and the wine they had been drinking. But Daniel and Mark were not so easily convinced. They decided to investigate, leaving the women by the fire. The deeper they ventured into the forest, the more oppressive the air became. The trees seemed to close in around them, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Suddenly, the music stopped. An unsettling silence fell over the clearing. The gypsies, sensing danger, vanished into the night, leaving the women alone by the dying embers of the fire. Panic set in as they realized their friends were missing. Daniel and Mark stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an eerie, unnatural light. There, they saw them, the Fae, ethereal and beautiful, yet terrifying in their otherworldly grace. The Fae surrounded the men, their laughter like the tinkling of glass. "You've trespassed in our realm," one of the Fae said, her voice as cold as the night air. "For that, there is a price." Before they could react, the Fae attacked. Daniel and Mark fought valiantly, but they were no match for the supernatural speed and strength of their assailants. With a final desperate cry, they fell to the ground, their bodies lifeless. Back at the clearing, the women huddled together, fear gripping their hearts. The forest seemed to come alive around them, shadows shifting and dancing in the flickering firelight. Suddenly the Fae emerged, their eyes glinting with malice. The women screamed as the Fae descended upon them. Sarah and Emily were snatched up, their cries echoing through the night as they were dragged into the darkness. Rachel, paralyzed with fear, watched in horror as her friends disappeared into the forest. Alone and terrified, Rachel ran. She stumbled through the woods, branches tearing at her clothes and skin. She could hear the Fae's laughter all around her, mocking her futile escape. Just when she thought she was safe, she tripped and fell, her head striking a rock. Darkness consumed her. When Rachel awoke, she was back at the edge of the forest, the first light of dawn breaking through the trees. She was alone, her friends gone without a trace. She staggered to her feet and made her way back to the village, her mind haunted by the night's events. The villagers listened in silence as Rachel recounted her tale. They knew the forest's secrets, and they knew the Fae had claimed their due. Rachel left the village soon after, unable to bear the memories that haunted her every step. And so, the legend of the Blackwood Forest grew, a cautionary tale of those who dared to venture into the realm of the Fae. The forest remained a place of mystery and dread, its shadows hiding the whispers of the lost and the laughter of the Fae, ever watchful and ever hungry. Years passed, and Rachel's tale became the stuff of nightmares, a warning for those brave or foolish enough to enter the Blackwood Forest. The villagers spoke of her often, the girl who returned when none others had. Yet whispers of a gypsy party that lured the unsuspecting still persisted, a siren call to adventurers seeking thrill and mystery. One fateful night, a new group of hikers ventured into the forest, drawn by the same irresistible allure. Among them was a young woman named Clara who had grown up hearing Rachel's story. Armed with curiosity and caution, she led her friends into the depths of Blackwood, unaware that the Fae were already watching, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. The cycle of terror was poised to begin anew, the forest hungering for fresh souls to claim. In the aftermath of her harrowing escape, Rachel sought help from the local park rangers, hoping they could rescue her friends. She pleaded with them, recounting the terror she had faced. The rangers, skeptical but compassionate, organized a search party to scour the forest. For days they combed the woods, finding only eerie silence and traces of the gypsy camp, now abandoned. Rachel, desperate and guilt-ridden, joined every search, her hope dwindling with each passing day. The forest seemed to mock their efforts, its secrets well guarded by the Fae. When the rangers finally called off the search, Rachel was devastated. She left the village, vowing never to forget her friends, forever haunted by the whispers of the Blackwood Forest. Clara and her friends ventured deeper into Blackwood Forest, their excitement masking the growing sense of unease. As night fell, the familiar strains of gypsy music floated through the air, drawing them toward a clearing. There, they encountered the Fae, their ethereal beauty captivating and chilling. The Fae surrounded them, their eyes glinting with malicious intent. Suddenly, Rachel emerged from the shadows, having returned to warn others of the danger. "You must leave now!" she cried, but it was too late. The Fae attacked with swift, brutal force. Clara and her friends fought desperately, but one by one, they were overwhelmed and dragged into the darkness. Rachel, once again alone, watched in horror as the Fae vanished with their captives. She stumbled through the forest, her heart heavy with sorrow and guilt. When dawn broke, she found herself at the forest's edge, the haunting silence a grim reminder of her repeated failure. Alone and broken, Rachel knew the cycle of terror would continue, the forest's whispers forever echoing in her mind.